Hello, my name is Bridget Bridges, and I'm very excited about doing this video discussion board today. I like it because, and I'm looking forward to seeing the others. The challenge with taking this class online is the fact that you don't get that person to person contact with your classmates, your teachers. So I am definitely missing that. I am definitely getting a firsthand experience of what the students are missing, with their teachers and peers. And although I pretty much have a great idea of what that is like, but experiencing it as a student is different for me. So I'm getting that. But it would be great if we could at least see each other on the screen, like Zoom or something like that. But nevertheless, I am Bridget Bridges. I live in Maryland. And so so if you see me look away, I'm looking at my paper here. I had to write down the questions. I'm definitely a visual tactile learner. So I definitely have to have my paper here. Reading it and trying to remember what I'm supposed to answer and have in this discussion is not going to work for me. So, nevertheless, here we go. So, the first question is I'm supposed to answer is what I learned in this course about teaching, what I learned about teaching from this course. So, let me say this about me because I am supposed to give you, an idea of who I am if you didn't read my introduction that I submitted during the first week discussion board. But I am actually a teacher and I have been teaching for 24 years. The school where I currently teach, I have been there for 15 years. I do teach private school. I am a Christian educator. So I teach at a private Christian school here in Maryland and National Christian Academy. I have to put that out there in Maryland. And I have taught public school. I've taught in the public sector as well, but the majority of my career has been as a private Christian educator. And people say all the time, you need to go back to public school. You need to teach public. The kids there could use you. And because this is the misconception that people have when it comes to private and public. And we had a discussion board about that. And here's the misconception that people have. People think that kids in private school are totally different from the ones in public school. Public school kids are just horrible, they're this or that. Let me just share something with you. They are the same children. The same children that the public school near me serves in the community, I serve some of the same children. The only difference is children that are at our school, their parents pay for them to go to school. The reality is, public school children, parents pay too via taxes. It's just that you don't see that upfront money. They're not writing a check every few weeks or what have you, but every time they get paid, money comes out. So really, we all pay for public school. But that's the only difference, is we are tuition based. So that's the only difference. I serve the same families, same children, have some of the same issues, and those families need me just as much as any other. So if you are considering going into private school or being a Christian educator, don't let anyone make you feel like you are less of an educator, because they will, because you teach private school. Oh, you're not in the trenches and you don't have this to deal with. Yeah, you will. You will. The thing now is, and I'm going to make this short, but with public and private, in the beginning, and I said this in the discussion, the in private school long ago, private school was for the elite. Whereas, and it talked about that, and I remember in, one of the chapters, chapter two, I think it was, but nevertheless, they talked about, how private school, and it is true, was for the elite, those who could afford it, for a certain group of people based upon their their place in society or their financial stability or ability. Well, that's not what private school is anymore. Private school now, you have whole families that are coming together just to pay one child's tuition. You have whole families that are coming together, digging under couches, trying to find change to pay tuition. And it is because the public school system, at least I know here where I am, is not doing what they need to do to educate these children. There's so much red tape and it's so much about money that these children are not being serviced academically. They're not able to compete. They're not doing well. They're not giving them what they need. So parents choose private school no matter what it takes because they want something better for their children academically. So the whole mindset of public and private is not what it used to be. I used to say when I had children, I would never send my kids to private school. I grew up in public school, I grew up in DC. Now, if you know anything about the DC, Maryland area, the DMV is what we're called, and that's Northern Virginia. Um, we're like one big place. I mean, I can go down the street and I'll be in DC. Where I grew up in DC. If I cross the street, I was in Maryland, so it's that close. But I grew up in public school. And, my children are in private school, not just because I'm there. I truly believe that even if I wasn't, that would still be a choice I would make for them because public school is not giving them what they need academically. These children cannot compete. You know, they don't do well. So that is the choice now when it comes to public and private. So if you choose to teach private school and you choose to be a Christian educator, and another thing that I love about being a Christian educator is the fact that I can minister Jesus Christ freely to children and families without any hindrances, without being told what I can and can't do, what I can and can't say. All based on the word of God, not my thoughts, not my opinions, not my pastor, God's word. And another misconception is that every family that comes into a Christian school is Christian. No, most parents are there. 90 to 95% or more of the families that are there because they want a better education for their children. The plus that they get that they don't realize is a life of Christ or getting to know Christ or a foundation of Christ being for their children, seed being planted in their children and in them. So that's the bonus that they don't realize they get for themselves and for their children. So if you decide to be a Christian educator, don't let anyone make you feel like you are less than a teacher because you do what you do. Your service is as unto the Lord. Your work is as unto the Lord. So then I guess the question probably is, well, then why are you in this class if you're teaching? The Bible says your gift will make room for you. And for 24 years, my gift has made room for me. No matter what, my gift has made room for me for 24 years. But the Bible also says that we have to obey the laws of the land. And, we go through things in life to have a testimony for others, not just for ourselves, but for others, to help others. And one of the things I tell every young adult, especially if they're going to college, is that, take it, and I tell my children this, take advantage of the opportunity that you have, because opportunity will not always be there. Fun will be there. Opportunity will not. And I had to learn that the hard way. I did not take advantage of the opportunity. I took advantage of the wrong opportunity. I was given an opportunity to teach early. I did my teaching practicum and everything, and and I was offered a job. And of course, I want to get in the classroom. I want to put up a bulletin board, and I have all these great ideas, and I want to see this stuff happen with the kids because you imagine this great assignment where you're holding your kids and they're learning and you're laughing. It doesn't always work like that. But that's what you see. And that's what you look forward to. So, and I was living at home. I was really young. I was 20. And, see, now you're about to add and subtract, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Figure out how old I am. Mm-hmm. That's what you're getting ready to do. So then you like, hey, I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to move out, a car. So you think like that. And you're young. And you don't think about the choice that you're making. The opportunity for me to get a job to teach, it was going to be there. I needed to continue on in school. And so I didn't make the right choice. And so, but God had a plan. And I am thankful, but I have to obey the laws of the land. And it's not just for just for being obedient, but it's for me, it's for my children, it's for my family, it's for so many different reasons. But so that is how I have been teaching for 24 years. That is how. Look at you, you add, subtract, got your paper and all that. I know it. So I teach first grade, and I have been blessed yet again because I had kindergarten last year. So I have been blessed to, to have the students that I had last year. Most of them, half of my class is some of the kids I had last year. And then the other half is from another kindergarten class. But because we work so closely together, I felt like I taught all of them last year. So I have been blessed to have children and families that I'm already familiar with, especially doing all of this in a virtual world. Okay, let me say this. First of all, you are blessed not to have to do this in the midst of all of this, because this is hard. Teaching virtually like this. I have 21 first graders. It is very difficult. They're really good kids. They're very well. I've worked very hard. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a class on classroom management. If your management is down, you can teach. If your classroom management is not together, you're going to have a hard time, guaranteed. You cannot teach anything when a class is out of order. You get your classroom management together and you're good. But anyway, that's not what this discussion board is about. It's just that I can talk. I have the gift of gab. So, what have I learned in this course? Well, so let me get to the questions here. Okay, so what I learned about teaching in this course. Let me think. Okay, well, I will say this. When you first start teaching, you're excited. You have you're very detailed in how you write lessons. You're very detailed in how you make choices and what you do for your class. You're extremely first of all, I'm extremely detailed anyway. It's kind of an OCD. This is what I've had to learn. Everything won't be perfect. You have to don't sweat the small stuff. Okay, I would be so particular about, wait, I gotta take that border down because it's not straight. Let me turn it this way. Wait, the pictures need to connect. Don't sweat the small stuff. Trust me, your plate will be full enough with a bunch of other stuff. So let some stuff go. But one thing this course has allowed me to do is to step back and look at myself as a teacher and to slow down just a little bit, especially with that technology tools chart. Oh, Lord. Okay. That chart was simple for the fact that I use technology in the classroom anyway. With the whole STEM aspect of teaching, I have to use it anyway more than I ever did before. But teaching virtually, OMG, I'm using more than I was using when we were in the classroom. So it has allowed me, but doing that chart, there were a lot of things I didn't think about. There were about how I do what I do and why I do what I do, why I choose the apps, what I get from the apps. I know why I chose them because I like having this for my students and having this for me to look at. And so I know why I chose them, but be able to really, really take a step back. And because after a while you do things and it becomes habit. And you do it because it's like second nature. 24 years, I mean, I don't have to think about a lot of things, especially when you teach the same grade for a long time. You teach the same grade for a long time, it will become second nature. And you don't think about why you do what you do. You just do what you've been doing. And what you don't realize is the children change over the years. The children change. The face of the family changes. And you have to change with it. So you can get in a rut and get stuck. And I've seen older colleagues get like that. You started teaching in the 80s and still teaching. You in the 80s and you using an overhead. Okay, but I'm using a document camera. So, which is the new school overhead. That's all it is. And so, but I'm just saying, you got to learn to change with the time. So, one thing about this course is allowed me to take a minute and examine what I do and why I actually do it. Is it out of habit? or, you know, what are my actual reasons? So it's allowed me to examine myself a little bit. Next was what I see as the biggest challenge facing me on my journey to being a teacher. Well, if I think back, I don't really remember what my challenges, but I can say this. One of my challenges now is balancing my life. You know, when I first started teaching, I didn't have a husband, I didn't have children, I lived in an apartment, so and it was just me. So I wasn't cooking dinner and packing lunches and raising children and trying to maintain a husband, a home. I wasn't doing any of that. It was just me. And then I had a cat and a rabbit eventually, but that's it. So one of the challenges is as your life changes and things are added onto your life, or even when it's just you, it's balancing all of that, balancing home and time for yourself. You need that, or you'll be peeling paint off the wall somewhere. You just lose it. You need time for yourself, or you will completely spaz out. You have to have time for yourself, whether you have a family or it's just you, because teaching can consume you. You're responsible for educating a group of children to the best of your ability. And then at the end, somebody's going to have those kids to take a test, which is pretty much not just testing them, but you and how well they're able to perform. So it can be stressful, but I think my biggest challenge is learning to balance my life and my job. And now that it is virtual, it's even more of a challenge. This is more work. You see, I am at home, and you see my board, my makeshift classroom behind me. So because I am home, does not make it easier. It makes it 1,000 times more difficult. But being able to balance, even when we're in the classroom, it was a challenge balancing my life and my job. So I think that that's a big challenge. Now, if they have a course on that, I will take it because it's hard. So my biggest challenge on my journey as a teacher is balancing my life in the classroom and out of the classroom. Okay, so how I envision using technology in the classroom. Okay, well, how do I use it in the classroom? Well, like I said, virtually, I'm using it more than I did before, but I do have in my actual classroom outside of this, in the physical classroom. I do have a computer center for my students. There are two computers over there where my children, I give them independent assignments where they're able to work independently on whatever it is, whatever I've set up for them to do. I have a interactive board in my classroom, and I do things group wise for the children because they can touch on it and everything. We also have a giant tablet at school. When I say huge, it is a tablet. It is mobile. It goes from classroom to classroom. It is huge, and it is a touch screen. It's like a tablet, so the kids are able to do apps and games on there. So the kids enjoy that. So that's three of the ways I use technology in class. Um, so those are just three of the ways I use technology in my classroom. And there's so many other ways. So allow the children to have independent time. Also, we have Chromebooks at school. We have a few MacBooks. So sometimes I'll use those with my class. I'll put the kids in groups and give them an assignment where they're in groups using the Chromebooks or MacBooks, or I'll give them one individually and let them work. And that really depends upon their skill level because the younger the children are, their hand and eye coordination and motor skills when it comes to using that mouse, forget the mouse pad. Forget that. They need a mouse. Um, it's a little more challenging. So giving them things individually is harder So a lot of times I have, except when they're on the individual computers in the computer center, again, I have to help them work on their mouse skills using the mouse, their left and right click, because they can mess up a game with that right click real quick. And you'll be constantly going over there trying to fix it. So that's one of the things we definitely work on are their mouse skills. And there are games for that. There are games for that. Um, excuse my allergy. So those are just some of the ways that I use technology in the classroom, computer center, the mobile lab tablet, the mobile lab, we call it, with the Chromebooks and MacBooks for the students, putting them in groups, giving them individual assignments, the interactive board for whole class instruction and things like that. So that's some of the ways that I use technology in the classroom. I use so many sites. Um, a lot of them. One thing I will say, I'm definitely being challenged on websites and apps and downloads and programs and all of that. Uh, you know, we had to do a list of what, 10? I know I use 10, but then I come up with five. I use at least 12. The example Kahoot, I couldn't use that one because it was already used as an example for the chart, but I do use Kahoot, which I really like. The kids love Kahoot. Oh my gosh, they love Kahoot. But again, that's something you can use in the classroom if your school has, individual devices that you can use in the classroom for your students. Like I said, we have a mobile lab, so I can use the Chromebooks and MacBooks, and we can play games like that in class. But it is. A lot of things you can do. So now I am being challenged with coming up with 5 more websites. I think this time I'm going to have to research. 12 is a lot. So 5 more? Oh my goodness. I'm about to really dig deep for this one. But I enjoy the class. I am, it is perfecting me and what I do, and it is making me better. So I am thankful for that. And I hope you're enjoying it too. I hope you enjoyed this discussion that was supposed to be 5 minutes max. I hope I don't lose points because at this point I'm over 20 minutes. So, with that being said, I will say goodbye and God bless.